Ooh, part 3 time of Stephano, who is so great. Doom, 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 doom. What we saw in part 1 is a nice opening that gives us the chance to get that roach speed up quickly and begin bringing the noise back to protoss. Most significantly of all Stephano really saw was an early expanding protoss who happened to have some warp gates up. Other than that, he had no idea what else was going on. Still without any vision, we saw in part 2 big aggression from Stephano, getting upgrades, getting a spire up relatively early, but not using the spire. Just getting it in case Colossi come. And no matter what Stephano did, he would be just rallying units at his opponent. Pulling back to regather them, then moving forward. And then pulling back to get those corruptors and moving forward. Constantly attacking. And the most significant element throughout everything was the number of geysers that Stephano had up. First 2, then 3, then 5, and now that he's hitting his final stage of his strategy, 8. All 4 bases up really quickly. And it's using these geysers to time out his strategy that is allowing him to both have the money to expand, but still getting just enough gas to get the upgrades that he needs. Last part of part 2, and what we're going to begin part 3 looking at, is this tonal shift. Big attacking in the mid-game, and then suddenly, joink, gas-based passive play. That's exactly what we're seeing right here. Bam. Plenty of corruptors coming up, liberally peppering the center of the map with spine crawlers, trying to gain control of these watchtowers. 5 broodlords coming up. Kind of hard to do this when you're on 6 geysers trying to get to 8. But right now, Stephano's on 8 geysers trying to get to 10. And remember, more bases do not gain you more minerals if you have just these 65 drones. But it can easily increase your gas consumption. Look at this, Stephano clearly knows that his goal is to get up a lot of gas. Very clearly knows. And if I'm the Zerg player right now, what I'm trying to do is, again, coming to the minimap, I'm trying to prevent Protoss from getting this base and this base, and I'm going to allow him to get the far right 4. I'm going to allow him to get the top right expansion, and allow him to keep his main and his nat. But this base is a target for me, and this base is a target for me with these broodlords. It's a slow-moving army. I also want to try to lock down the north expansion and the south expansion. I am not going to take this army and really try to go invade too heavily. Because the fact of the matter is, Infestor, Corruptor, Broodlord is pretty much an unshakably awesome army. So let's go ahead and see how Stephano plays with this army. Bounces it back and forth, waits for a good angle for the engagement, doesn't engage too aggressively, but he's treating these broodlords like an ice cream scooper. He's sort of scooping down here a little bit, then he's going up a little bit more, and he's going to come back down. And notice how he's wiggling his way a little bit forward. He's trying to just gently snowplow all these units backwards. Just going to gently cup these units, not going to get too overexposed, just going to kind of gently make sure everything stays in here. Warp prisms are good, but not when you have speed zerglings going everywhere. Your speed zerglings and your corruptors are going to clean this up while you keep your broodlords and your infestors in one good spot. One thing that I just briefly want to say, there's no overthinking here, just damn it, get your upgrades. Get this freaking upgrade. For God's sake, get the adrenal glands upgrade. For God's sake, get the adrenal glands upgrade. Keep getting these upgrades. For God's sake, get the burrow upgrade. For double freaking everything's sake, get the overlord speed upgrade. Get those upgrades. In the late game Zergs, get your upgrades. Get them. Get them. Seriously. A +3 melee attack is way more important than another broodlord. Like, get them. Get them. Got him! I would honestly say that the #1 most important late game upgrade is Overlord Speed. The #1 most important. And Stephano, I think, is making a absolutely horrible blunder by not checking up on these expansions. But I do love that he's going very gas heavy. Yay, gas! Gas geysers. Gas geyser. See you later, Warp Prism. Again, Stephano using the ice cream scoop style. Broodlords just sort of slowly gonna establish control over these bases, just slowly wiggling his way forward. He is gonna get slowly 8 more Broodlords, just nice and slow. because what he's trying to lock down is these 2 bases. You can do a 6 base versus 6 base, and then just lock down the north and south and eventually get 7. That's a little harder than 6 versus 4. But very passive, very slow. Remember the huge tonal shift I was talking about? Big aggression in the mid game, and now total passivity. Commit to that. If you are a mid-range Zerg player, I would want you to have a clear goal and just commit to it hardcore. That is the action item I would say to you. I want you to ask yourself, do I want to be really aggressive right now, or do I want to be really passive and defensive right now? Make sure that you are choosing exactly one of those, not half of both. Well, let me just poke and then I'll just pull back and I'll be, no. Maybe I'll tackle and maybe I'll harass and then come back. I want you as an action item for the end, till the end of the year, to be more attack focused or more crazy defense focused. I want you to be extreme, because the differences we're seeing between Stephano in the mid game and now are extreme. Some big spine crawlerage in the main. We're spending minerals to defend our fringes, so that way we can have our gas army concentrated in the middle. Yeah. Alright. Now, note that we do see that Inori has taken the entire right side of the map. That's fine. Stephano is going to allow that to happen, because Stephano does have 6 bases and 6 geysers up, which is going to be very, very scary for a protoss buddy to deal with. Just slowly scooping his way in the middle. Look at how oh so slowly we're seeing our buddy just gently, ever so gently advance forward. Keeping things a little clustered might seem bad, not actually so horrific. Storms can't kill the Broodlords that quickly, and depending on how you position this, you can actually prevent those from getting too close anyways. These roaches are turning out to be very useful to defend these fringes. We're getting our Corruptor out into the field. Come on, Stephano, start doing some things. Yeah. And now we actually see Inori is the one who steps into action. What we've been seeing Stephano try to do for a really long time is secure these watchtowers. Just by securing these watchtowers, this allows him to peek and see if this Expo's up. This Expo's probably mined out at this point in the game, so he doesn't actually need to attack that, but this Expo, in my eyes, is going to be the defining thing that will make Stephano jump into action. This is like the catalyst for aggression. But because we see our good old Protoss buddy engage directly at our Infestor Broodlord army, that's great news. We're obviously very delighted that he did that. We appreciate his contribution to the unit's loss tab. Infestor Broodlord is really hard to engage straight up, but I think that Obsidian, aka Inori, was kind of getting one of those, oh hey, maybe I can get a big win here. Maybe I can kill off all his Broodlords. But we, of course, had all our drones at the geysers, so we can afford to make 22 Corruptors at the same time. And when you have 16 Broodlords, it is okay to make 20 Corruptors. This was pretty straightforwardly played out. Yeah. And then he just sort of 1A's his way in. Where is he attacking? First, just poking up here and poking down here. He's not going to go for the jugular. He's not even going to extend himself up here. He wants to maintain control of that center of the map because he is a nice, slow army. And as we get to this point in the game, I think a lot of people are saying, oh, so I just got to get a whole frick ton of Broodlords up, and then I got to get a lot of bases up. What we're going to do after we watch the conclusion of this game, which of course I know that you want to see, we are going to review when these expansions popped up, because it's quite critical to see how Stephano managed to establish this. I'm just going to let you watch, because this is awesome. What am I singing, guys? Alright, cool, good game. Let's come back to here, to 28 minutes, when things are looking good. Excellent. This is looking great for Stephano. I would venture to say, yeah, that's right, it was Banjo-Kazooie. I would venture to say that everyone gets what to do here. I have Broodlords and Infestors. I just want to order everything on the menu. Soccer, Zealots, Colossi, all of them are going to be so fun to kill. It is really easy once you have this army. The problem is getting it, and the problem is getting enough of it. Many of those mid-range Zerg players will have the following feeling. They'll have 6 Broodlords and like 3 Infestors. It won't work, right? It won't feel so good. When you have 20 Broodlords, 12 Infestors, it's going to feel good. And there are key moments in this game when this actually was able to go down. Let me actually pull back a little bit to this 8-minute mark. This, in my eyes, is the most key moment in the entire game for these expands. 1, 2 geysers. Slowly building up our money. Look at our money slowly climb. Our macro's not bad because we're motherfucking Stephano. Look, our money's still pretty good. At 9 minutes and 30 seconds, we still have pretty good funds. So even though we don't have a high drone count, we can get a pretty fast 4th. We have 50 freaking drones, but we're getting our 4th base up. This allows us, at the 12-minute mark, to always have the option to suddenly throw down up to 8 geysers. That's the big key. Moving up to the 14-minute mark, we see that hardly anything is actually even mining from this expansion up, or from this expansion. But we still have that opportunity to do that should the situation arise. There's a lot of battling happening down there, and that's fine. Around the 18-minute mark, Stephano is starting to go for the hive, and when he decides to go for the hive, boom, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 geysers instantly up. His hive is halfway done, and he already has 8 geysers up and running. Hell, I actually think it closer to the 16-minute mark he even got them. I mean, look at how early he can get them. Yeah, he starts them before he even starts his hive. That is the big key. It's not just that he's getting up Broodlords and Infestors. It's that he's getting all these gas geysers up early right before he ends up doing it. So this means that Stephano can comfortably pull back, use his already extended creep to secure these bases, and suddenly the aggressive Zerg play from Stephano has bought him 2 additional geysers. Not any additional drones. He's still at the usual amount of drones. But he's still throwing huge amounts of units at his opponent while this gas builds up. So that way, by the 22-minute mark, it is Stephano with this outrageously large army. Look at that. 5 Broodlords, 2 Corruptors, going to be Broodlords. We have 10 Infestors, 2 Broodlords on the way. We're going for expansions 5 and 6 instead of for trying to keep expansion 4 alive while going for expansion 5. Very often you'll see a Zerg player struggling like hell to get geysers 7 and 8. I actually want you to go download some replays. Go download some Zerg vs. Protosses and watch quite a lot of them and see when does that Zerg player get geysers 7 and 8 up. The best of the best players like Stephano will be able to get them up quite easily. And I don't want you to look at the time that they're getting them. Because, for instance, if we are playing a super ultra passive game, you might get geysers 7 and 8 up pretty early as a player because no one's attacking anyone. What I want you to think about is the struggle that this Zerg player goes through to get it. This has been conflict-free. There's been nothing to get in the way of Stephano's expansion up here. This has been an absolute pleasure to have up. These are starting to get a little bit tricky to defend. So I would look for a time like this when you're looking at a base in a little bit of trickiness. You only need to look at 4, 5, 6 replays to really see, wow, man, a lot of Zergs are really kind of struggling getting up that 4th base. It's looking really kind of grim. Ugh. So now we're going to take some questions. I am so delighted at the way I'm timing out these dailies. It's just working out well. As we've been going for about 15 minutes, we're going to go ahead and take three questions. Clear. My God, that makes my face very white. See, if I minimize it, it darkens my face, but you know what? I got to have it up on this monitor. Okay, so Dursku Smacher Says, Day 9, you talked about committing to aggression and defense as a Zerg. What are some triggers I should look for to know when to commit to offense or defense? What should I look for to switch from one to the other? The big thing is going to be, am I building drones right now? Periods where I'm building drones are periods where you really should be going strictly defense. The other periods that are going to be leaning more towards defending are Broodlords and Infestors, are a little bit more, slightly more defensive, passive type units when you're trying to get those up. The more aggressive units, Lings and Roaches. The big thing, though, is it's less unit-based and more timing-based. It's more of... Actually, I guess I should say it's more up-to-you-based and timing-based. Like, I want to really be aggressive and start attacking him. I want to prevent him from getting this third base up. I'm going to go crazy aggressive with it. As I'm talking more and more and more, I'm slowly, I think, getting closer to what I actually would want to say. It depends on expansions. Base it around that. Am I trying to shut him down from taking this expansion? Yes. Better be making a lot of units to take care of that. Am I going to let him get his third up? Time to be passive. I'm allowing you to get your third up. You know, it's a map where you almost always let your opponent get his third up. Tal'Darim Altar. You can't really deny him from getting that third. Just let him get it up. Let him get it up. You know that? Let him get it up. Think of it in terms of expansions. Every expansion, his third base, am I trying to really deny this or delay this, or am I going to let him get that up? His fourth and fifth base, am I going to let him get these ones up? How about maybe this third I'm okay with him getting, this third I'm not okay with him getting. I'm going to be aggressive if he goes here, I'm going to be passive if he does that one. Think mainly about expansions and a little bit about units. But in terms of within the game and like timing, expos are the key. Ha! There we go. Two more questions. Bear with me. Day 9, you saw the Warp Prism harass coming in from the Protoss. Do you think the Zerg could/should be doing something similar? First of all, let me note the Zerg should absolutely be spreading his speed overlords to spot those Warp Prisms. What I want to caution you against doing, before I even give an answer, is don't commit to doing a lot of different things. You want to have a focused, clear goal. Broodlord, Infestor, Corruptor. Yeah! That's what you're going for, right? You don't want to say something like, well, maybe I can mix in some, I don't know, maybe I can try to be getting some Roaches to be doing some counterattacks, like massive amounts of Zerglings. Maybe we need to get some Hydralisk in that mix too. Well, Ultralisk would help tank the damage. And then you have this Ultralisk, Hydralisk with a couple of Roaches trying to counterattack, Broodlord, Infestor, Corruptor mix. And what happens is the overall size of your army is just smaller and weaker because you're not really committing to much of anything. So be careful about trying to do too much. Protosses and Terrans especially are guilty of this, where they're trying to like throw some Ravens in there, and they're trying to get a Mothership, and they're trying to get Void Rays, and they're also trying to do a lot of Warp Prism harass. You have to have a pretty substantial economy to be getting all of those and really know what you're doing. The one thing that I would say that Protoss could be doing is just loading up 8 Zerglings into an Overlord and dropping it at various places at the map. 8 of them in the main base just to pick off some pylons. Very easy, basically free, and with Burrow, so fantastic. Not a mass drop with like 5 Overlords full of Zerglings. That's one of these like trying to do too many things at once and you want to stay focused. But a couple of Zerglings, like 1 Overlord here, 2 Overlords here. Oh, now we're doing little chippy harassment. And that's really great. I love that. I love that so much. I'll take this one because it's just kind of awesome. Dear Day 9, in the large Broodlord count situations, it seems that Archon toilets will make it a huge waste. What's the best solution you have found to avoid this kind of unit loss? Toss like a shit ton of infested Terran eggs into the toilet, and then when the units spawn, the infested Terran eggs will force the Archons to the outer skirts. And then you can avoid taking too much damage. It's pretty awesome, right? I'll take another one. Yeah. Striker ZZF says Stephano never sent his Overlord into Scout. Do you think it's necessary, or do you think metagaming your opponent is the better path to take? Metagaming, you have to be very careful with the use of that term, because when someone says metagaming, like, that generally means taking outside game knowledge and applying it in game. Something like Koreans tend to not do cheesy plays, therefore I will not prepare against cheese. In a sense, what you're really saying, what Stephano's really doing, is just asking what his opponent's race is capable of timing-wise. If I see 8 units trying to establish control of a third, and I deflect it with my ultra-fast roaches, I know there's no air coming. I know that. He can't possibly be doing both. This just takes a lot of practice and a lot of game knowledge to do. And I want you to think more in terms of he can be doing possibility A, B, C, or D. How can I start crossing these off? By what I'm seeing at the front of his base. And only when you're getting to a point where you just can't seem to cross anything off, that's when you go in. Too often people just go into his base not having any list of what he could be doing, and they get in there and they go, oh, Colossi. How do I deal with that? Stephano was always preempting his opponent. Example of preempting, right here. Right here. Alright, so he gets in there, he takes out the third. What are the possibilities of my opponent? Big gateway army with some Templar. Maybe he could be getting some Colossus. Direct your eyes right to here. Actually, I think the Spire is actually planted right here. Right under this mouse cursor. Come on, am I right or what? Oh, damn it, I was wrong. That's where the second Spire got built. Yeah, he builds a Spire. He can't see any Colossus or not. Why would you scout? Why would you go in there with an Overlord to try to check if you could just build the Spire for virtually no punishment? It's not like you're going to build the Spire and think, God, if only I hadn't built that Spire, I would have lost the game. You just build the Spire, and then the instant he sees the Colossus, he makes the Corruptors anyways. That's a little bit of the better way to think about it. Preparing for the different things, and doing aggressive tactics to try to force him off other things. Super awesome to do. I mean, if you need to scout your opponent, you can scout it, but it's less Stephano needing to know what his opponent's doing, and more him just preparing for all the possibilities that his opponent could be doing. I'm going to take the last fast one. Last one. Here's a good one. Day 9, what is the name of that bear with the hat on top of your shelf? That is Tomo, the Sphere Bear. That wraps up Day 9 Daily number 388. I'm hoping to get a replay of Liquid Xenio and do that one tomorrow. Woo! And then hopefully I can also do a replay addressing people's thoughts on Mech in Terran vs. Protoss. If it doesn't happen tomorrow, it will happen on Sunday. Submit to me Fun Day Monday replays. Get through your finals, guys. You can do it. And then play StarCraft all winter break. I want to hear your goals. Tweet me at Day9TV what your goals are for winter break in StarCraft 2. Bye, guys.